Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. All together, please. Om Jnana-timirandasya Ganandana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sabidam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yukta Padakamalang Shri Gurun Vaishnavangscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadvadutam Prijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karana Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapcha Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavanishwari Prishabhana Sudadevi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Paditanam Bhavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vaskora Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. So, reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, translation and commentary, Srila Prabhupada. Canto 5, Chapter 9, text number 12, chapter entitled The Supreme Character of Jad Bharat. So, it's a prose verse. So, I'll just read it 2 times and then you can have your chance. Atak kadachit kaschid vrisala patiya badra kalyai purisha pashun ala bata patya kamaha. One more time. Atak kadachit kaschit vrikshala patir badra kalayai purisha pashun ala bataya pataya kama. Anyone? Ataka ichit Padrakalai Purishapashum Ala Pataya Kama. Mataji's? Okay, word for word, please repeat. Atta, thereafter. Gadachit, at some time. Kaschit, some. Vrishala, Pati, the leader of the Shudras, engaged in plundering the property of others. Badra Kalai, unto the goddess known as Bhadrakali. Purisha Pushum, an animal in the shape of a man. Alabata, started to sacrifice. Apatya Kamaha, desiring a son. Translation, Srila Prabhupada. At this time, being desirous of obtaining a son, a leader of dacoits who came from a Shudra family wanted to worship the goddess Bhadrakali by offering her in sacrifice a dull man who is considered no better than an animal. Please repeat. At this time, being desirous of obtaining a son, a leader of dacoits who came from a Shudra family wanted to worship the goddess Bhadrakali by offering her in sacrifice a dull man who is considered no better than an animal. Purport Srila Prabhupada. Low-class men, such as Shudras, worship demigods like Goddess Kali or Bhadrakali for the fulfillment of material desires. To this end, they sometimes kill a human being before the deity. They generally choose a person who is not very intelligent. In other words, an animal in the shape of a man. Makam karoti vachalam bhangam laite girim yad kripatamaham bande Shri Gurun dinatarinam atak kadachit kaschid vrisala patiya bhadrakalai purisham pashum alabatya pacha kamaha. At this time, being desirous of obtaining a son, a leader of dacoits who came from a Shudra family wanted to worship the goddess Bhadrakali by offering her in sacrifice a dull man who is considered no better than an animal. So, low-class people, they will do anything. Pravittim cha nivrittim cha. In the Gita, Krishna says, the demoniac, they do not know what is to be done and what is not to be done. At the beginning of the Gita, one of the arguments Arjuna put to Krishna is that if I engage in this battle, if everyone engages in this battle, then they'll be degraded. I'll be killing these great souls. On the other side, you see all these great superior personalities, Bhishma, Dronacharya. Even though they're avaricious, still they're my superiors. What good can come of it? So that is the contrast between a demoniac personality and a devotee. A devotee, a pious person, will always consider, are my actions of body, mind, words, these are the three actions, body, mind and words, are they going to elevate me or are they going to degrade me? Are they pap or rather punya or are they pap? So this is a good concern, because this is a factual concern. If we perform pap, then we will be degraded. We will suffer the consequence. We will find that we are degraded. However, if we perform punya, pious activity, then we can expect a better birth, a higher position, more peace of mind, success in our endeavors. But this consideration is absent in the demoniac. They act on what they consider to be their advantage. Shreyas and prayas. What is good now, forget about the consequence. That is their concern. Oh, there'll be trouble in the future, but in the future I'll also very cleverly avoid it. They consider from their arrogant perspective that they can overcome. But mrityu sarva haras chaham. Krishna says in Gita, I am all devouring death. Kalosmiyaham. So, for the impious, for the papi, they meet Krishna and they pay obeisances to Krishna in the form of mrityu. You don't hear of people dying standing up. They flat. They are paying obeisances to death. And they will be taken there by the absolute power of Kala. Kalosmiyaham. I am time, destroyer of all worlds and destroyer. We look at the Virat Rupa manifest before Arjuna, and what do we see? We see everyone, Arjuna saw everyone being pulled into the mouth and chewed, devoured by the Virat Rupa without escape. So you may shuffle off your karma beej will, the seed of your karma, every activity is like a seed, but seeds sprout. So when the time is right, it will sprout into the flower or the weed of your reaction. And there is no avoidance. So, the person of knowledge understands this. However, Krishna's point to Arjuna is that you're speaking in a very learned way, Arjuna, considering pap and punya. Very nice. But there is a principle above that. Yajñata kamano nyatra lokoyam karma bandhana. That work, your karma, which is your duty, not just your work, but rather your duty, should be performed as yajna, as a offering, a sacrifice to Vishnu. So sometimes people say, oh, why is Krishna telling Arjuna to be violent? The Bhagavad Gita encourages violence. No. Actually, before the battle of Kurukshetra, Krishna had done everything and all diplomacy had been done. But still Duryodhana would not give the 5 Pandavas, Kshatriyas, they needed some area to rule over. He would not even give them, he said, enough land to stick a pin in. They asked for just 5 villages. Actually, Krishna, he was very intelligent. They were asking for 5 villages around Hastinapur. So Duryodhana thought, my God, I'll be encircled by the Pandavas. And one day. Anyway, so Krishna is not telling Arjuna to be violent. He's telling Arjuna to do your duty. But do it as a sacrifice for Vishnu. Incidentally, because Arjuna is a Kshatriya, then the Kshatriya must occasionally and under Shastric prescription perform violence. Not everyone in society is a sadhu. We see here these Vipad Pashu. They are not saintly persons. They're not working according to Vedic principles. So they must be chastised. Actually, acharyas, sadhus, learned persons have said that when India, the Kshatriyas, took to Buddhism, ahimsa para dharmo, when they took to the Buddhistic principle that the highest dharma is non-violence, then they became very weak. Then they were conquered by the Malechas, the Yavanas. Oh, we are Kshatriyas. We should sit peacefully. No. Violence is required because there are these kind of person described here. Whimsical, violent, materialistic, undisciplined, Naradham, Duskritina Mamuda, Naradama, violent, undisciplined rascals. One time Prabhupada was challenged. One person said, "Why are you always saying fool and rascal?" Prabhupada said, "No, Krishna is saying, I am repeating the word of Bhagavan, Supreme Lord. He is saying Mudha, he is saying Naradama, he is saying Duskritina, he is saying Maya Aprita Gyan. Why are you saying there's not this kind of person? Because you are a Duskritina." Prabhupada didn't say that. But you are a fool, you are a Mudha. Of course there are fools and rascals. That's why we have police force. That's why we have an army. Why is there war? One answer you can give is, now here there's 100 people. There may be 200 people. So to keep the peace, everyone must be peaceful. If there's a room of 100 people, for peace, 100 people. But it is said that you can refuse to give some paisa to somebody, you can refuse to give a shirt or your chadar, you can refuse to give somebody, but if somebody wants to fight you, can you refuse? If they take a stick and beat you, can you refuse? So out of a room of 100, multiculturalism, whatever, there will always be some rascal that wants to make a fight. So police force, army is necessary. And violence is necessary. But not this violence described here. Jai. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Shri Panchatattva, Shri Nityananda Parampara ki, Shri Krishna Balaram Gomata, Giri Govardhan, Shri Sri Radha Krishna, Lalit Vishaka, Shri Guru Parampara ki. Not this kind of violence for a materialistic aim, as it says here in the... He wanted a son. Also in the verses about this one, it is explained they were looking for success in their dacoitry. They wanted to be successful thieves. So in later verses, it is explained, na, swat vidina. They had concocted. It is not that it is a Vedic system that you can kill people, dull people, in front of Bhadrakali. They had concocted this idea. What is that verse in the Bhagavad, 4th Gita? Yakshastra usritsya vartate karma karma nasidim na param gitim. That those that give up the Shastra and act whimsically, they do not attain happiness, success, or the supreme destination. No perfection. The Shastra is very scientific. It has to be followed scientifically. You cannot whimsically contradict and, as the Americans say, cherry pick the Shastra. That also happened in Mahabharata. The Pandavas, they accepted, Yudhisthira rather, accepted the 13 years of exile. So on the 13th day, Bhima led the other Pandavas to Maharaj Yudhisthira, and he said, they were all dressed in battle gear. Yudhisthira Maharaj said, what is this? You want to go and fight Duryodhana? We've been exiled for 13 years, and we have agreed to follow that. Bhima said, in the Shastra, it says that one day can be taken as 1 year in certain circumstances. So we have passed 13 days. Now our exile is over. Yudhisthira said, no. That is not the intention of the Shastra. That is not the agreement. You cannot go to the Shastra looking for something for your own personal agenda. You have to go to the Shastra as a servant, as a student. You have to absorb the Shastra according to Guru Parampara. You cannot go with an empirical mentality. Then you will be just like licking the bottle of honey. You're licking the honey. You will never taste the honey. You will lick the bottle. You don't go to the Shastra for making the Shastra your servant of your materialistic desire. You go to the Shastra as a subordinate with humility. You pay obeisances to the Shastra. Bhima, okay, we'll stay. So these personalities, they were whimsical. They were making their own idea. And what had happened? Because of their attitude, they were even ready to kill a man. And particularly here, they were going to kill not an ordinary man, but Jad Bharat. Jad means dull. But Jad Bharat, he was not a dull man. For him, the material world was dull. We think, or at least myself, from the materialistic perspective, that this world is the reality, and that spiritual world, that is some kind of dream, imaginary place. But from the point of view of Jad Bharat, that was the real place. That is Sat. That is eternal. That is Uttama. That is beyond the material ignorance. That is the supreme abode. That is reality. And he was purposely and very carefully becoming absorbed in that platform. And those that are on that path, initially they want to renounce this world, but those who are perfected in this path, they become very callous. They see the material world as the dream, as the dull area. So this is a point to contemplate. We take this world as real, but it is asat. The material scientists do not understand this word. They think that there is existence and non-existence. They think the opposite of sat, existence, is non-existence. But by definition, non-existence does not exist. So how it can be the opposite of anything? But they are so foolish, they are so duskritino, they are so mudha, they are so naradama, they are so maya aprita gyan, that they think that everything comes from nothing. But nothing does not exist in the first place. So how it can be the source of anything? Donkey brain. Actually, it is an insult to the donkey to say that. Because if you say to the donkey, if you get one that's been to school and can speak nicely, "Dear donkey, the grass you are eating, it has come from nothing." You'll say, "What?" You'll say, "Have you never heard of parinamavad, transformation of energy? It is coming from the earth. The grass is a transformation of the earth. Go back and study Vedanta, parinamavad, and don't study Vaivartavad. It is incorrect, illusory transformation. What to speak of an idea? It has come from nothing. The grass just appeared, and now I'm chewing it." This is what the donkey will say. He's not looking in the sky for grass. He knows it's coming from the earth. No, but this is what has captured the material world now. Everyone is being educated, right? Everything has come from nothing. As if nothing is something. But if nothing is something, then it cannot be nothing. And if it is nothing, it's not there in the first place to be the source of everything. And if everything is coming from nothing, then when I have nothing in my pocket, I should be able to buy atta, baraf, laddu. But I have nothing in my pocket. And if I have nothing in my pocket, nothing will ever appear there. I cannot go to the shop and say, "I have nothing, but give me everything." But that is the material idea. This is what is being taught in the school, right? Everything has come from nothing. So, existence, the opposite is nothing. No. In Vedic ontology, the opposite of eternality, existence, is asat, temporary. And that, when we contemplate it, is very satisfying. Correct? Sat, asat. Yes, eternality means it is not subject to decay. It is not subject to creation even. It is ever existing. But that which is asat, there is no endurance. It will be in flux. So, from the perspective of Jad Bharat, he's not concerned. His interest is not in that which has no endurance. His interest is in transcendence, in Sat, in eternality. So when Krishna tells Arjuna in the Gita to do his duty as a sacrifice, he's directing him to that transcendental result. Don't be concerned too much about papa and punya. Yes, it's a good principle to follow, but be concerned, Arjuna, about realization. And that means sarvadharma prijaja mamekam saranam vraja. Don't be concerned about your material dharma, but be concerned about your, as Bhakti Vinod says, your Jaiva Dharma. Your Jaiva Dharma is the quality, the nature, the constitution of the soul. Just like the constitution, the nature of water is liquidity, transparency. It has an innate quality. So the real Dharma is to uncover the real nature of the soul. And Varnashram Dharma, Papa and Punya, doing your duty in the material world, is only a good framework within which to realize your spiritual nature. Gopi bhata kamalayo das adas anudas. Naham viprocha narapate naipi vaishyana sudra. Lord Chaitanya. I am nothing to do with any material category of Varna and Ashram. I am the servant of the servant of the servant of the master of the gopis. That is my eternal nature. So Jad Bharat, he was on this path, and he was on it because he had learned the lesson. This is the third life described here in the Bhagavatam. First, he was the son of Maharaj Rishabdev. He was very elevated in devotional service. He performed all his kingly duties. Then he went to the forest for further advancement, right? So he gave up his material duties to meditate in the forest. But, as you know, he became attached to a deer. Material affection made him fall down, and he was on the edges of Bhava Bhakti. From Bhava Bhakti, nobody will fall down. Emotional attachment to Krishna. Ashakti tata bhavas tata prema, Rupa Goswami says. So he was on that platform, but just because of a deer, he fell down. And then he took birth as a deer. More instruction. Yam yam vapi smaram bhavam tat tat eva kalevaram. Whatever your attachment is, you will think of that at the time of death. What will these dacoits think of? Well, actually, they'll be killed very shortly. We'll see in the Bhagavatam. Well, whatever you're thinking of, there is your destination. Daiva netrena. It is under superior control. So he became a deer. But because of his awakened spirituality, he was able to remember his previous life and why he'd fell down. So even in the body of the deer, he would associate with the sadhus in the forest, in their ashram. He would sit at some distance and listen to their discussion, satatam kirtayanto mam, their discussion about the absolute truth, about Krishna, their kirtan. And he was always within his heart and soul, remembering the Supreme Lord. So even in that condition, he was advancing in realization of Krishna. And that is the goal. Janma kama tame divyam. To realize that transcendental abode that now seems like an imaginary or insubstantial idea, because our senses are pulling us into this world. To realize that transcendence, tatvata, in truth, that is the goal of human life. So Jad Bharat, when the deer, Maharaj Bharat left that body of the deer, Mrityu sarva haraschaham, he took birth in a family of Brahmanas, Angira Brahmanas, very elevated family. He was the son of the second wife, the younger wife of the Brahman. I think he had 9 step brothers. It was a big family. His father tried to train him, but Jad Bharat was very fixed in the mistakes of his past life. He understood, material affection pulled me down before. It will not do it again. So he affected the position of being dull to the material world, but awake. There's that sloka in the Gita, right? The time of awakening for the self-realized soul is the night for the conditioned soul. And for the conditioned soul, day is sense gratification, but that is night for the self-realized soul. So Jad Bharat, he wouldn't take the samskars, he wouldn't do any of the duties properly. He was staying clear. His brothers, they were mistreating him, disregarding him. Look at him, he can't do Gayatri, he can't bathe himself properly. It's explained here that after taking bath, one should wash one's hands. But Jad Bharat, upon hearing his father's instruction, he would go to the toilet, and then before that he would bathe his hands. So his father was kind of giving up. So this is very now, does that mean that we can follow Jad Bharat? No, not at the neophyte stage, not when we're at the stage of sadhana. We should be very careful to follow the rules and regulations of sadhana so that we can maintain purity within which we can chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So, for the Paramahamsa, the topmost devotee, the swan-like devotee, he can take milk from the water. Uttama adhikari, uttama, above tama, above the material infection. So, Jad Bharat was such a personality. He was there sitting under the tree. He was left to guard the fields, the paddy fields, at night. And these dacoits came along and thought, oh look, here's a simpleton. Let us use him in the sacrifice. They had lost their intelligence, and very soon they were going to lose their heads. Right? Don't lose your head. They're going to have their head chopped off. So they offered so many flowers and fruits to Kali. But she could not abide this nonsense. So she took the sword, she came from the deity and took the sword and with that sword that they were going to use against Judge Bharat, cut the heads off. And then her associates, various bhutas and pretas, pishashas, they played with the heads in the temple, kicking them, throwing them, screaming, ha ha ha, enjoying. So of course, this is Bhadrakali, but ultimately she is Shakti Tattva. That is why it is explained like that. Bhadrakali, you know, of course, many from child, she wears a garland of skulls, heads, and sometimes she goes on the rampage, killing everyone. And her husband, Lord Shiva, tries to control her. I cannot do it. I think every married man knows this situation. What can I do? She's beyond reason. She's killing everyone. So he lies down in front of her. And then she steps upon him, and then you see, she puts her tongue out. Oh, what am I doing? I'm standing on my dear husband. She comes back to herself. Now, I'm not saying that you Grihastha Lok should follow this system, because our ISKCON ladies are very sattvic. However, this Leela is there. Right? We see so many, the glory that was once Rome. What is the one before him, the Greek fellow? Alexander the Great. No, he died. He got stabbed in the modern day Pakistan with a poison spear. He's finished. The glory that was once Rome. All these empires, they all fall because they contain the seeds of their own destruction. Just like these dacoits, they perform sinful activity. So their destruction is made by their own activity. So now we have this atheistic, demoniac civilization, make money, pollute the air, chemtrails, pollute the vegetables, genetic modification. Because not only do they think, these fools, they think there is a creation, but there's no creator. Now just think how foolish this is. If I say there's a watch, you will say, oh, what brand is it? Who made it? Oh, there's a table. Who made it? But this gigantic creation, far more complex than the dull things that man is making. Oh, that has no creator. That happened by chance. Nothing exploded. This is the idiot's fairy tale. This is an idiotic philosophy. But this is what's being taught. And then there's no creator, there's no maintainer. So therefore we can do geoengineering. We can put chemtrails. We can fire electrostatic energy into the ionosphere. We can alter the vegetables so that the tomato lasts 6 months without going bad. Never mind if it gives you cancer. We'll sell you the drugs. We have another department here. There's no maintainer. Nature. Oh, the scientific magazine, Nature. But whose nature? If I say liquidity, It is able to quench thirst. These are the qualities of water, yes. So when you have quality, nature, where is the person that possesses that nature?